So out here at Secret Knock with one of my favorite people, Scott Duffy, my original mentor. Now, let me take you back in time. 2014, I'm at one of the first Secret Knocks. Scott gets on stage and talks, and me and my wife, right in front row, are blown away. What he talked about resonated so much with what we were dealing with, which was failure and struggles. And I remember pulling Scott aside and just wanting to just say, help us. And he ended up becoming our first mentor. That was then. And now where we're at, post-COVID.
Seriously, it feels like I've known you for 20 years too.
It's been a while.
So amazing. And it's so awesome to see how many people that you've helped and how many people that you work with, and the way that you create transformations. And that's one of the reasons I'm your biggest fan out there
I love it.
today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So back then we were in a transition period.
Yeah.
Like we were struggling, and I remember it was simple things, but you just saw it. You looked at it from a holistic view and you said, let's do this, and you got us organized. And that changed everything in our business. I don't know if I ever told you that. Like everything changed right then and there. But then all of a sudden, COVID hit. And every business, every one of us had to pivot. And I remember having discussions with you going like, I don't know what this is gonna mean. But we've all pivoted, and now we're back at events. Like, what do you think has happened to businesses during this transition?
Well, I mean, it's been a really tough time for most businesses because things are changing so quickly. I mean, it used to be that in life, things moved in business relatively slow. It's like change was linear, but today it's exponential. And it's like, I think back to, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, a great example, the 1900 Easter Parade in New York City had 200 horses and one car, one automobile. 13 years later, it had one horse and 200 cars in only 13 years. And it feels like we're going through that kind of change, like every time there's a new COVID shutdown. And so, I think that it's interesting. A few years ago, I had a chance to meet with one of my, really my heroes, Phil Jackson. So Phil Jackson, he's the iconic coach of the LA Lakers and Chicago Bulls. He won 6 championships with Michael Jordan. He won 5 championships with Kobe Bryant. And I've always wanted to ask him one question. The question was, you've had a chance to work with the best. What is the difference that makes the difference between number one and everybody else? And his answer was one word, and it was simple. It was Shoshin. Shoshin, S-H-O-S-H-I-N.
Shoshin.
And what Shoshin means is it's a word that's used frequently in Buddhism. It's a word that means beginner's mind. And what he said is that Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant had this ability to forget everything that they had learned each and every day that they walked onto the court. They had this total beginner's mind, and as a result, they were open to any new possibility and any new idea. And he said, and as a result, they were able to make distinctions by not holding on to things that helped them in the past that other players couldn't make. And so when I think about entrepreneurs today, how do we apply that? The way that we apply that is that we have to approach every single day like it's the first day that we've ever been in business. And the way that we start by doing that is by getting out and reaching out to our customers, because what has changed the most is what customers want in the way that they want it. So the 2 most important questions that you can ever ask your customer in order to approach each day with a beginner's mind are, number 1, what's most important to you about blank, like whatever it is. And number 2, and this is the most important question, is what nobody asks, what has to happen, or how do you know you're getting what you want? So real quick, the example is COVID hit, I exercise a ton, and I couldn't go to the gym. And so a friend came over, and he's like, Scott, I'm going to build this cool exercise thing that you can do at home, so you can exercise without going to the gym. And I said, great. And he said, what would be most important to you about the exercise thing that I made? And my answer was, it would be easy to use. Now here's the problem. That's where most entrepreneurs stop asking questions, they start building. And easy to use means a million different things to a million different people. So the second question he should have asked is, what has to happen? How do you know it's easy to use? And I would have given him what I call my buyer blueprint. I would have said something like, for this kind of thing, I'd love to have some kind of digital product. I'd love to use it on my iPhone. I don't have an Android. I like to pay one time versus monthly because I don't know if I'm going to use it again. And I went on and on and on. And if he had just built to that, he would have had something that I bought. Instead, he built something I wasn't interested in. So what I would say post-COVID is the number one thing we need to do is approach each and every day like it's the first day we've ever played in this business, and always be asking our customers, what's most important to you and what has to happen, or how do you know you're getting what you want?
Wow. instantly, as you're saying that, I'm thinking about this software we're building,
Yeah.
Private Money Club, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, have we asked those questions to our customers?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we want to build it simple, but you're
Yeah.
right. Like, simple to me in my little 5th grade technology mind is different than simple to you, is different
Yeah.
than simple to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I love that. I love that.
And you also need to make sure that you do a really great job in terms of defining who your target customer is, because simple to somebody who is 18 to 35 years or 34 years old is going to be a lot different than simple to somebody that's 35 years old, to the next age group or to the next age group. And so it's really important to get clear on that too.
So what do you think the best way is if somebody has got an idea or
Yeah.
they want to do something to solve a problem? Like, where would they start in getting this data on? Like, number one, like, simple is easy, but
Yeah.
how do they define their target market? And then how do they define what is simple for all those people?
Well, I think the first thing, again, they need to do is start asking questions. I think a big problem that entrepreneurs have is they start making and building what they think is important to a product or what they think customers want before they ever ask people what it is that they want. I was talking to Gary Vee about this, and I said, "What do you think, Gary, the biggest mistake is that entrepreneurs make?" And he said they disrespect the market. And I said, "What does disrespect the market mean to you?" And what he said is disrespect the market is what like everybody does. They build something and they spend all this time and money and then they launch it. He said versus going to people, asking what they want, and then just building what it is that they want.
Seems so simple.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it really is. But the challenge is, as entrepreneurs, we get really passionate. We're really passionate about our idea. Sometimes we're leveraged financially, and so we feel like we need to hurry up. Sometimes it takes us longer. It costs us more than we ever anticipated. And as a result, we stop listening and we just start doing.
Oh,
and that's
wow.
where the problem is.
Wow. Stop listening and we just start doing.
And we just start doing. Yeah. And
That's so
what's
critical.
really dangerous about that is that if you've had success with either your product, your service, if you've had success in a particular area before, and you start doing, you start building, you start releasing things, and maybe those things worked in the past. Maybe they were exactly what your customer wanted the way that they wanted it, but now the market has changed. What we tend to do is when things aren't working for us or as well for us as they used to, is instead of doing new things and asking new questions, we double down on what used to work for us before. And what happens is we go harder and harder and we get deeper and deeper in a hole versus asking questions and doing things that are new and learning kind of what is like, what's next. What's next.
I always talk about that with the markets. Everybody
Yeah.
right now is making money in the markets, right? Their advisors making the money, their stock picks. Everybody's got tons of money that they're making in the market, but everybody's looking in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
I always say, if you got in this car right here and you went to drive down this street and all you did is stare in the rearview mirror, you're going to crash.
Yeah.
You are going to crash.
That's right.
But in investing, people are constantly staring in the rearview mirror. They're never looking out the front windshield to see what's coming. They're always looking at what's already happened. And I think that's important what you just said, because in business we often do that as well. We're always looking at what worked before, not what's going to work in the future. And these are trying times and changing times.
Well, so like this is what's unique about what you do is you don't get people to look behind. You don't get people to look at what's right in front of them. You get them to look out way out into the future so you can plan and you can anticipate. You see, here's the problem. A lot of times when people are really good at looking at the past, and that's where their focus is, and they start to look at the future, instead of looking down the road, they look at what's right ahead of them. And so I would say like two metaphors for this would be if you're a skier, like if you snow ski, this would be like looking over the tips of your skis. And what happens is,
I know what's coming.
So you know exactly what's coming. So what happens is you see and you notice every little bump in front of you, and you start to make all these quick, quirky adjustments, which leads to a crash. If you're a race car driver, what happens is you take your eyes off the horizon and you look right over the hood. And when you look right over the hood, what do you see? Every pebble, every drop, and you do this. Now here's the thing. Doing this around a pebble at 50 miles an hour in a race car is nothing. Doing this at 150 miles an hour takes you into the wall. And so what you do, and it's the right thing to do, is you get people to look way down on like where they really want to go. And when you do that, you can anticipate, and you show people how to make these like really graceful movements towards where it is that they want to go. And it's not hard if you look out that far. It's hard when you look right here. That's where the challenge is.
Yeah, but the problem is today everybody is in a hurry.
They're in a hurry
to get rich.
Yeah.
But the difference, and I asked, he had to have been 11 or 12 years old yesterday.
Yeah.
I asked the audience, I said, what's the difference between rich and wealthy?
Yeah.
And this wise young man came out and literally described it. He says, rich is when you think you have money, but it could be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wealthy is when you have money and you don't lose it. When your money's working for you. I couldn't believe it. I gave him 20 bucks because I'm just like, that's brilliant. No one else in this room got it, but except for this young man.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was amazing. You have to, wealth is a marathon, always has been.
Yeah.
If you want to build wealth, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Anyone that's sprinting to wealth always comes up against the laws of wealth.
Right.
Their money will flee them. It happens every time. And unfortunately, we're going to see it again here soon, and too many people are going to be hurt. But yet, we're so short-sighted in the way we think about things. We forget what's happened in the past, like with the recessionary periods. We're like, everything's good now.
Yeah.
That's that pebble in front of it.
That's
But if
right.
you're going 150 miles an hour, you're in the wall.
That's right.
I love it.
That's right.
Scott, this has been awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
you
I
got
can't
it.
wait to see you speak.
Love this guy. I love it.